Did you seriously think the whole video is going to be like this? Wow. Jokes aside, this is a very serious status update regarding how things have been going so far since I've uploaded part 2 of my net test beta series. As far as I'm concerned, things are going pretty well on that front, and the support and comments on the video has given me a lot more work to do. Now, normally if I want to do a status update regarding stuff like part 3 of the net test series, I would have just made the community post to update everyone. However, things have been pretty rocky since then, and I thought it'd be better to address that in a video, rather than just give you guys a long wall of text. Judging from the thumbnail and everything, you're probably confused and possibly a little worried about what's going to be entailed in this video. Sorry to quell off any doubts and confusion, this video isn't clickbaiting anyway. Some pretty serious things have happened in the past week or so that's really thrown a spanner into the works and caused massive delays with all of my projects. It all has to do with this thing. As a little disclaimer, everything's mostly fine now, but this little joke right here has caused me a lot of stress and anxiety, and it has to do with something called data loss. This has to be one of the most troublesome things to have ever happened to me so far in my life, so I like to explain what went on so you can get an idea as to how bad this was for me. It was Thursday the 17th of October. It was a pretty special day to me as I was getting my second last day of normal classes done. I was pretty happy at the time and I just couldn't wait to go home, but unfortunately, like all great things in the world, something had to make it all come to an end. Once I got home, I unpacked my laptop and tried booting it up to my Linux Mint partition that was stored on the SSD I showed beforehand. I was quickly met with an error when coming to the bootloader, and I couldn't boot into the OS. I got confused and I tried looking at the SSD's partitions and Windows, only to be met with a partition containing the OS telling me there was an extended partition with less than 1000 GB of free space. My confusion quickly turned to panic as I realized that the whole partition had been corrupted, meaning that I potentially lost all the files in there with no way of recovery. What made things especially bad was that there were no backups for most of the files I had, and one of the backups I did have for some of the files were mistakenly erased as I installed a fresh new Mint installation on top of that. For the whole night, I was trying to recover the data that was on there, to no avail. My options were severely limited as the partition was in a format that Windows hasn't been programmed to recognize or to even interface with, meaning my options for data recovery software were significantly cut down. After looking up my problem, I found some with the same issue, and in the page there were several people recommending tools that could recover the data that had been corrupted. I tried DD Rescue and Test Disk, which didn't help me much at all. The next day I brought the SSD to school, seeing a friend of mine could help recover the corrupted partition, only for him to check the health of the partition and tell me it's pretty unlikely I could get my data back. With my hopes almost completely crushed, I felt desperate. Throughout the whole rest of the school day I was celebrating my last few classes of high school, with my overwhelming worries of losing everything nagging me at the back of my mind. In a last-ditch attempt, I tried one last data recovery tool recommended on that online forum from last night, DMDE. I had already started scanning my drive with it, but I stopped at 10% as it was getting late. At night, I resumed the scan. Due to the massive 2 TB of space the SSD had, it took hours for the scan to fully complete, and during that time I was completely on edge. I had no idea if the tool was even going to work or not, spending my time chatting with my friend over Discord and even drinking for the first time. Once the scan was complete, I nervously opened the partition that DMDE instructed me to find. I was met with sudden relief and felt completely victorious, as DMDE was able to find every single file that the partition had stored. With this long story out of the way, I can say with confidence that all my important files have been safely recovered, with little corruption if any. There's about 100 GB or so of data that were unrecoverable, but that isn't important, as all the more meaningful data I have is now safe. You're probably wondering what this means for part 3 of the net test beta series. Generally speaking, the worst this whole event has done for the project is a delay for a few days. It's not like this matters too much at all, as I haven't made much progress on part 3, so I decided to take a break as I felt I was lacking motivation. I've been working on other projects during this break, but for now I'm starting to get back into working on part 3 again, and you guys should hopefully see it being uploaded in maybe a week or longer. So I've said before, I have a lot of work to do for part 3, and additionally I'll be very busy doing other important things like studying, so I won't be working at the same pace as I had on part 1 and 2. Progress could be slow or very sluggish, and I don't know how long it'll take for me to complete the video. I've also been thinking about recording myself playing Buckshot Roulette multiplayer once it comes out on Halloween, as a sort of fun video to release before part 3. Aside from that, the moral of the story is that you shouldn't ever forget to back up your files. But enough said, that's it for this video. See you guys next time.